Hey there, and welcome to the first episode of the Play Up podcast. And this is our first episode in our second year of putting together a fan podcast that was recently described as the worst quality podcast I've ever experienced. We do hope that most of you enjoyed our podcast a little more than that. And we have people listening around the world, from Scotland to Rome and from Udentani to Tasmania. And at the end of the day, we thoroughly enjoy doing it. And even if a handful of Pompey fans listen and enjoy it, then we are delighted with that. So this week we have a guest joining us from Switzerland. So welcome, Simon Cuddiford. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for
Good.
inviting me on.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us on this little bit of nonsense that we do every couple of weeks. Also, again, rescued him from his sofa. Thanks again for joining me, Reece.
Evening, guys. Hello, everybody.
And lastly, Tim Harfield joins us after an absence of a couple of pods. Nice to have you back, Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Glad to be back.
Good. So we will discuss the 3 games since the last pod. But I've decided again to do the Anagram quiz that I did a couple of pods ago. So these players that are 3 more players that have anagrams, I've gone for current players. I don't know whether it's going to make it too easy or not. But if you'd like to jot down these 3 anagrams, three-word anagrams, please. And then obviously we'll do the answers at the end of the pod. So the first one is Congas Honeys Rush. Congas Honeys Rush. And the second one is, do you want to spell check? Congas, as in doing the conga. Honeys, Honeys, and then Rush. Calm Sonic Dish is the next one. Calm Sonic Dish. And the last one, which may be easy, I'm not sure, is Din Lever Try. So they're all current players who play for Pompey this season, and I hope you play again at home. Jot these down, and we'll do the answers at the end of the pod. A couple of weeks ago now, Pompey went away to Sheffield United. Simon, you were there. I mean, basically, it was a tale of missed chances for Pompey. Very, very disappointing that we lost. We lost 2-1, obviously. So Lang's first miss was from 6 yards, and then Hamer scored for United. But Pompey hit straight back with a cross by Murphy, which turned in by Ogilvy. And he popped up in a number 9 position, which was amazing. And then Murphy also slammed a shot onto the bar from 25 yards. But yet again, another miss, which was even closer than the Lang one. Another Murphy cross was put over the bar by Ogilvy from 2 yards. And then second half missed a great one-on-one. Bishop was through one-on-one, but the defender threw himself across. And then United, disappointingly and predictably, won the game with a tap-in for Rak-Saki, and Pompey didn't recover from that. What was your views, Simon? Obviously, it was a much, much improved Pompey performance away from home from some of the spankings we've got. So what was the difference?
Well, you're right. I mean, I was at the West Brom game, and the thing which I noted there was we started by shipping goals very, very quickly, and there was absolutely no sign of any of our side thinking about a resurgence and trying to go and score and get back into the game. It was kind of, okay, we're 2-0 down. When can we go home? There didn't seem to be any effort to try and drag ourselves back into the game. I mean, I know we've had some appalling results on the road this year, but I think one thing that certainly Pompey of last year was a never say die attitude. That's something which was definitely lacking at West Brom, but in spades at Sheffield United. So, yeah, I think that's the one thing that I noticed at the start of the game anyway, or when we went 1-0 down. It wasn't heads to the ground, let's just play out the next 80 odd minutes and hope that we don't get embarrassed. It was like, okay, you've poked us now, let's carry on from where we've been, where we'd been was challenging. We were the better side by quite some margin, certainly by numbers of chances. So, that was just a completely different performance from West Brom, I thought.
Possibly spurred on by the draw previously to that, where we gave a really good account of ourselves. I think it was interesting, wasn't it, that both Lang and Miss from quite wicked crosses from Murphy, and Murphy's going to be a theme throughout this pod because I think he's been absolutely outstanding recently, Reece, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, especially in that game and the ones we'll go on to discuss in a minute. He absolutely is. He's knocking on the door for the Player of the Year.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was one of those games where just everything went right. The players are on it, and it was easily our best performance of the season. The irony being we didn't get anything out of the game. But as I was saying, I was watching the game on the away feed, and the commentators were at least 2 or 3 times said if a neutral was watching the game, you would not know who was down the bottom, who was second from top, and they couldn't believe they got a win out of it, and. They were saying also Josh Murphy, they couldn't believe how well he was playing. And they said if he's playing like that every week, then he won't be playing for Portsmouth. And obviously the irony being that he doesn't play like that every week, but he is starting to play, certainly recently, a lot more consistently. But I'm pretty sure somebody told me that Cardiff bought him for like 11 million because at the end of the Cardiff game he was saying he was clapping their fans. So I think he did play for them at some point. Whether that transfer fee is right or not, I don't know. But you can see that performance. You can see why. I mean, he was just absolutely on it. It's just a shame the finishing quite wasn't on par with his performance that day.
I think the Murphy brothers were at a club together. Tim, do you know something about that?
I think they were at Norwich together when they started. Yeah, I think they started there. And the thing I was wondering was, because obviously they're basically identical twins, aren't they? Do you think they ever just kind of swap just to? Do you think we had the other one down here for that Sheffield United game?
Possibly. It's not far from Newcastle, I suppose, is it, really? It's a lot closer than Portsmouth. But yeah, well, I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? Although Murphy does look fairly decently two-footed, more right foot than left. Jacob seems to be very right-footed rather than being able to use both his teams. So, yeah, interesting. I mean, they're both lightning quick and you know, really, really direct players. So, you know, they are pretty much identical, even in the way they play. So Tim, did you see Chris Wilder's interview after the game?
I'm not sure if I actually saw Chris Wilder's interview after the game, but I saw the same feed as Reece. Yeah, it was quite refreshing to see kind of opposition commentary being so complimentary, and it was so deserved as well. But I should imagine you're going to tell me that Chris Wilder said some similar things, that he thought we played well.
Yeah, it was quite a refreshingly honest interview. And he said that at the start. He says, "I'm not one of these managers who are going to tell you that my team are great and all the rest of it." And then he didn't slate his team. He just said they didn't deserve to win, which was entirely true. Pompey didn't deserve to lose. A draw probably would have been a fair result because we wasted our chances. And as soon as Rak-Saki came on, I knew he was going to nick a goal because he's a player that's haunted us through the years, especially when he was on loan to Charlton. I'm sure he's got at least a goal or two against us for Charlton, or made them. So he's ended up at Sheffield United and pops up with a tap in with about 10-15 minutes to go, which is quite a gut punch. Yeah, no, Wilder was very, very honest about the fact that his team had got taught a lesson and said exactly the same sort of things as you say about the guys who were doing the audio for the Sheffield United. Disappointing that Pompey lost that game 2-1, but as you said, Simon, a very, very encouraging performance and much better than some of the horror shows we've seen away. How many games have you been to away? Because obviously you're based in Switzerland, but you do get across to see the odd game or two.
Yes, I do. Just recently, I've got West Brom and Sheffield United. I have got tickets for Luton as well, so I'll be over for that one. Luton's one of those strange grounds that, even though we've been there quite a lot in recent years, I've never managed to get there. So it's a fresh ground for me, which is a massive rarity. So that's very very nice to get that one in. And,
yeah, I didn't get there on my epic walk because they were non-league, believe it or not. They weren't actually in the top 4 divisions. Can you remember that? 13, 14 years ago, Luton were actually non-league. Yeah. And they've just spent a season in the Premier League. Incredible stuff.
That was the big story, wasn't it? It's like non-league to Premiership in less than 10 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're paying for it now, aren't they? By the looks of it. So they might go from Premiership to non-league in less than 10 years again. So let's see what happens. But anyway, as long as they finish below us, that's all good.
Just a couple of other things that I've noted down on my pad here. That Diaz got a damn good scumming for the majority of the game, which was good. Always to enjoy. I listened to a couple of podcasts by Sheffield United fans, and they said basically that was their worst performance all season, and they couldn't believe how they'd won the game. We created more chances than any other team this season at Bramall Lane. And Murphy, best individual performance at Bramall Lane this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And he goes to back that up in the next couple of games as well. So disappointing loss there, but we go on to an evening at Fratton Park under the lights, which is always exciting. Unfortunately, I missed it due to work, but I was keeping an eye and an ear on things from my office. So Pompey beat Cardiff 2-1 on the Tuesday night. Reece, it was quite a cagey game. I mean, great start by Pompey. So Bishop starts the ball rolling by stabbing the ball home from a great Murphy ball. I mean, he nutmegs the guy and then crosses the ball for Bishop to do a Ronaldinho type stab with his toe into the corner, and then Murphy had a wicked shot from a corner which produced another corner, and from that he produced a great corner that Shaughnessy headed in via the goalkeeper to give us a 2-0 lead. But it was one-way traffic really after that. Cardiff got a goal back when Swanson was out-muscled by O'Dowda at the back post. And that led to him being subbed at half-time for Devlin, who looked to shore up the right side. It was kind of a better second half for Pompey. We did actually have a couple of chances. So second half, Bishop tests the keeper with a dipping long-range shot. But Robertson really should have scored when he hooked a cross straight at the goalkeeper. And just after that, with a couple of minutes to go, Pompey produced 4 shots in target in 4 seconds, but somehow didn't score. So what did you think, Reece, from your vantage at the Fratton end?
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? For a win, it was one hell of a game that I didn't enjoy, and I don't know why. Because it was just maybe because it was so nervy, and we needed to win. And I mean, we got off to such a good start, and we got a couple of goals. Shaughnessy got on the score sheet, and then it kind of went downhill a bit from there because Swanson was getting absolutely mullered down their left, our right, and which led to one of the goals where, as you say, he just got totally out-muscled. But once again, Mousinho saw it. He made a change at half-time, brought on a young rookie in Devlin, and it kind of shored that area of the kind of the game up. But looking at it, it just felt really tense. But actually, when you look back at it, we actually had a lot of the ball. Schmidt didn't really have a game or a save to make. But I mean, I don't think we were lucky, but it was just a lot more nervy than it should have been. I mean, Ogilvie, in the 92nd minute, almost should have got a red card with his scissor kick, and I guess the real downer was Shaughnessy going off injured again. But I mean, we luckily held on for I think it was our first win on the Tuesday under the floodlights. So it was great to get the win without a shadow of a doubt. The crowd were up for it. They were certainly kind of taking the team through the final minutes of the game. You say, I mean, that 30-second period where we had like 4 shots on goal didn't go in. We had a few chances, but actually, looking back on the game, they hardly had any chances in the second half at all. So comfortable looking back on it, but uncomfortable watching it. But a fantastic win.
Yeah, absolutely. Good that we could. No, I mean, I think very early on in the season, I don't think that's a game we would have seen out. I think we would have crumbled under the pressure, especially in the first half. Once they got their goal back, we sat back and we didn't really press as much as we did. I think Lang was struggling with form fitness or whatever, so the press wasn't really working for most of it. But Tim, I wanted to get your thoughts. Great to see Bishop score again after what,
brilliant.
Fair to say, had been a difficult period for him. I know we shouldn't really pay much attention to social media, but he was under a lot of pressure because he wasn't scoring. And people were questioning whether he's good enough to play in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like madness to me, but then I'm a bit of a kind of Bishop fan and a bit of a happy clapper on a lot of things. I know that. So, but I mean, just Bishop, I mean, look at the turnaround in form since he's been back. I think that there's games he goes a few games without scoring. People complain it's only a penalty here and there that he's getting, but he adds so much more to that as well. I think you can see what he brings to the team when he's in it. But yeah, I was absolutely thrilled for him when he put that one away. I thought it was it looked like he maybe had just taken the touch too far away from him, but his instinct to sort of toe punt it a little bit was the right instinct, really. So, I'm a huge Bishop fan. I also think, who else are you going to play in there in some of the recent months as well? Okay, it's looking a little bit better now. Marco Mani's back and scored. Yengi's nearly back, apparently. I don't know how true that is. So there are going to be some other options there. But, I mean, in the last 4-6 weeks, something like that, who would we drop Bishop for? People, say give him a rest and everything, but yeah, I think he's done great personally.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I did question. Well, before he had his heart up in the summer, I did question whether he'd be able to cope at this level because, as we found out very quickly, Reece, didn't we, that the game at this level is so much faster and stronger, isn't it? And we as a team, as a group, struggled with that in those first few games. But since Bishop's come back, it's really helped with the front four pressing, and he does as much, if not more, work than anyone in that front line, which is quite remarkable for what he's been through.
Yeah. I was about to say he's. I just don't get it. I just do not get it. I mean, his link-up play is really good. He's just had open heart surgery, for God's sake, and then he's had to carry the team up front for 10, 15 games straight off, and just from appearing out of nowhere. So he's going to be tired. You get that, but I mean, the guy's doing his best, and he pops up with a goal. He's pretty much guaranteed to score penalties. So, and we wouldn't. I mean, his return has been a fantastic blessing, because if we didn't have him, it would have been Sadie up front. And you're telling me fans would have really wanted Sadie up front compared to Bishop?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Sadie's got a role, but I wouldn't say it's as a number 9. Really, not the way the team plays, Simon.
Yeah, he provides a similar hold-up skill, if you like, that Bishop does. He's a big lump. He's good to aim for, but I don't think he's as good in the air as Bishop. He's certainly not got the goal-scoring knack that Bishop has got. And I'm of the same opinion. There's too many people out there who are looking only at the goal tally and not the rest of the contribution to the team. And we know all strikers go through quiet periods, but he'll bounce back. He'll bag a few here and there. Hopefully, he gets into double figures again. But he's a natural goal scorer. You don't score 20 goals a season on 2 consecutive seasons, even if it is in lower leagues. You don't do that if you're just a kind of okay centre forward.
No, you're right. One other player I wanted to mention, apart from Ogilvie for his stomping challenge 2 minutes from time, which he could have easily seen red, was obviously Shaughnessy went off and Matthews came on again, and we've said before how impressed we've been with him, and he slotted straight in next to Atkinson, and we didn't lose that defensive solidity either, did we, Simon?
No.
How impressed have you been with I mean, I know we spent a lot of money on him, but he looks well worth 1.2 million and the rest, doesn't he?
Well, he certainly looked comfortable. He wasn't rabbit in the headlights at all, was he? I mean, yes, he got a bit stitched up on the Millwall goal, but that was certainly not down to him. But stepping through that he's done, he's come on, a couple of cameo roles for a few short minutes at the ends of games. Didn't look out of place at all. So I still think I'd prefer Poole and Shaughnessy in central defence, because they've played together for so long last year and were so successful. As we move up the leagues or move up the championship,
there's only one more.
Well, yeah, as I say, if next season we are a bit more solid in the championship, and I'm all for staying in the championship, thank you very much. As we step up, then maybe we are looking at players who are a bit better quality. But yeah, I've no complaints about him so far.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Your goal difference I'm sure it's the same in every league, but if you have a look at the table, your goal difference dictates where you are in the table. If you have a roughly equal goal difference, you're going to be mid-table. If you have a huge deficit, like we had for a while, it's coming down because we've scored a lot of goals. We've scored 41 goals, and we've conceded a lot of goals. If we'd have managed to keep a couple more clean sheets, we would be on 40 plus points easily because of the goals we score. Yeah. So having that defensive solidity going into the rest of the season is only going to translate into more points, because that's how it works. You keep clean sheets, you get points.
I did a bit of geeky analysis on our defence when I had a quiet moment, and it's quite amazing the number of players that we've used in defence this year, and how often we've actually been able to put the same defence out in consecutive games. And that was 3 times up until last week, I think it was. Only on 3 occasions we've managed to put the same defence out in consecutive games. And that was once in October and twice in December, I think, and maybe once in January as we're moving into this year. But the injuries that we've had in defence have massively contributed to our position in the league, I think. It's not having that, as you say, not having that stability and not being able to pick our top defenders week in, week out has completely hamstrung us in that way. I mean, Pack done a brilliant job. He's our second most appearances in defence this season after Connor Ogilvie.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? I mean, go on, Reece.
I was about to say, I mean, how many of those 3 games or any game have we actually played are on paper first defence? I don't think we have any. I don't think we've played any games where you would probably say that your starting 5 at the back would be Schmidt, Williams, Farrell, and I don't know, Shaughnessy and Paul. You would probably say. You could probably say without the injuries, Boat would probably be in there with Shaughnessy maybe. But we have gone all through this season and we have not played one game with our preferred on paper defence. So to get where we are, considering how much we have spent, is phenomenal. And I think if we stay up, it will be more of an achievement staying up this year than it was winning League One last year. I really do. Those defensive frailties, injuries, stats, whatever you want to call them, it's crazy. You take out any team's decent best players, they're going to struggle. You see what's happening with Man United last year, Man City with Rodri this year, Spurs, etc. Any team loses their best players, they're going to be, they're not going to be as good. And we are, say, 7 points above the relegation zone. Not just get out of it, but where we are and the performances is quite phenomenal, if you ask me.
One thing I will notice about all the injuries that we've had is Machino never mentions it, never complains about it.
Yeah.
Just gets on with it.
Yeah.
He's not using that as an excuse.
No. He's a class act. I don't care what anybody says, he is a class act.
Well, let's hope we can, if we do stay up, that we can keep him, because obviously the worry is that he gets fed up with trying to put teams together on a shoestring and goes off to somewhere with a few million quid in their pocket. So yeah, the Isers will have to keep an eye on them in there. So Tim, we're gonna talk about Oxford, which which. I've been to 3 away games and I've seen 2 wins. So
you need to get to a couple more, mate, for sure.
Well, I'm going to Luton, so there's a chance to get the hat trick, which would be amazing. Pompey went away to Oxford last Saturday. Obviously, Oxford, I think, surprising everyone. They come up in the playoffs, so no one really would have thought that they would be the team that would be heading towards safety with a few games to go. Everyone thought it might be either us or Derby, because obviously we went up as automatic qualifiers and us as champions, but it hasn't turned out that way, and they've put together some decent wins. So going away, obviously Pompey won 2-0, which is great, a second away win of the season, and the first half was really scrappy, wasn't it, Tim? Because this obviously there's nothing you can do about crowd emergencies, but this odd thing which happened at Sheffield United and also happened at Oxford, where there's a celebration applause on a certain minute, this time for a player, Joey Beecham, but everyone stops and applauds, and I just don't, obviously we did it twice at Sheffield United, which is really, really bizarre, because you're in the middle of a sporting event. I don't, it's fine the crowd doing it, but I just think it's really bizarre that the players stop and do the applauding as well. I don't think, I'm not being ungracious here. Obviously, the minute's applause are for the right reasons, but I don't think you should stop a sporting event for it. These people are trying to do their job, and it's in the middle of a game. So I don't know how. I don't know whether the FA will do some guidance on it and say, let's stop doing this, or don't join in or whatever. But we did it at Oxford, and then immediately the minute's applause stopped. Obviously, there was the medical emergency. But obviously Pompey, went on to have a really good second half, and it was a ridiculous melee in the box, wasn't it? There was about eight different people trying to kick it. It was like a foosball table with everyone flicking the legs left and right, weren't they? Trying to get the ball in the back of the net, and eventually Dazelle smashed it in from 2 yards. And then obviously Pompey rode their luck a bit with a couple of chances, but Omani finished with a few minutes to go from a Devlin clearance. So, what did you think about it, Tim, as a whole?
Yeah, I feel like I started watching it around midday and then it finished at about 6 o'clock. That's what it felt like anyway, with the amount of stoppages and everything. But yeah, I have to admit, I thought it was quite classy the way Simon Murphy sort of stopped and they got the clapping going and stuff like that. But I did also, same as you, at the same time, I was thinking like, that's difficult to work out how and when to do that. Do you know what I mean? Because someone will take advantage of it. And yeah, and
I think at Sheffield United it was planned, but at Oxford it seemed to be Richie started clapping whilst he was waiting to take the free kick, and then the ref started clapping. And then a few other people joined in. It didn't seem to be as organised.
I thought it was a planned thing, wasn't it? Because it was the 11th minute for Joey Beecham, which I think was his old
number.
number.
They unveiled a banner, didn't they, as well?
Yeah. But yeah, it made it very difficult to get any momentum going, though, because obviously that happened, and then there was the medical emergency, which then took quite a bit of time as well, understandably.
Thankfully, the fans are all right. So that's
that was good to hear. And it felt like the first half was very scrappy because of that, really. And so it was going to be kind of who came out with the most fight and up for it in the second half. And I thought we had some really good performances in there. And just following on from what we were saying about Hayden Matthews, I think he's going to be the absolute star. I think he's got the potential to be brilliant. And from what I've seen so far, I thought he was great in the game at Oxford. I think alongside Atkinson as well. I think the first few games he played, I wondered maybe what was the point in bringing him in? Is he actually any better than McIntyre and Towler? And I think now I've seen enough to, yes, he's clearly far better than both of those two. So that was the right decision there. And it was him popping up on the right side of the box to cross one into expert poacher Dazelle to put us 1-0 up. So thoroughly enjoyed that moment. And then I thought for the second goal, which is obviously right sort of deep into injury time at that point, I'm becoming just more and more of a fan of Terry Devlin every time I see him play. I thought in the game against Cardiff, he came on and the first couple of brilliant tackles and the headers got the crowd straight into it. Eased my nerves a little bit at that point. And how far can he head the ball? I mean, that header for Omani to run on, take a touch and stick it in the net was just superb, I thought. And I was watching that in my flat on my own. I gave out a massive cheer for that one. So
yeah, that definitely came down with snow on it, I think. I don't know if you've seen on. I think it's on the Portsmouth YouTube. There's a split screen thing. So you've got top of the screen, you've got the match action, and bottom of the screen, you've got Messina on the touchline.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's
it's
really
great.
good. He was actually yelling at his defence to clear it, and then suddenly his eyebrows go up because he realises that we're in.
Yeah.
So and then the celebration at the end is between all the coaches and the players on the bench is pretty special.
It was such a hard fought win, wasn't it? Really, I think there's only sort of one real downside from that, isn't there? Really, from the Oxford game, and that's watching Lang quickly grab his hamstring and hit the deck. It's such an important part of our forward line, really, that it's going to be a miss.
So just tell us how much of a miss he is going to be, because he is our top scorer at the moment, and like I said earlier, goals has not been a problem. We have scored our more fair share of goals, and if we'd kept a few more clean sheets, we'd be much higher in the table. But obviously it's not overstating it. He has up until now been our best player. So what attributes do you think that does it for him, Tim?
I mean, obviously he's a good player. He's a skillful player. He's good at kind of turning past people and stuff like that. But he's another one with absolute sheer effort, and his pressing is outstanding, doesn't it? With the rest of that front line, they kind of work so well as a unit to press. Any team that was mentioned before on this podcast that wants to play out from the back is probably the wrong thing to do when we're on form with our press going forward, because we're just so good at winning it off them high up the pitch, and then you're already high up the pitch to start your own move and everything. So I think we miss him. He's versatile. He can play anywhere on that kind of like front four, really, I would have thought. But it's going to be interesting because, it always opens up an opportunity for someone else, doesn't it? And as we said earlier, kind of got Yengi soon to be back. We've got Omani back. We've got the fella Oshish, who obviously we've only seen a couple of glimpses of him so far. Looks like he's got some skill. Whether anybody else can fit into Lang's role and give that level of pressing is going to be the interesting bit.
Who do you think you'll get the nod on Saturday then?
Well, I don't know. I'd probably go for something completely weird that wouldn't work, but after too much Football Manager on the computer and everything like that. But you end up wondering about kind of even dropping Bishop just a tiny little bit deeper and playing someone else ahead of him. Like, Omani's coming back, looked good on Oxford. Could be a bit of a stupid left field idea, but I guess we'll see what Mousinho does, because he seems to keep coming up with answers to all these problems.
Yeah, not that daft, Tim. I mean, if you remember it, when he paired Yengi and Bishop last season, he did play Bishop in a more of a 10 role. And Yengi is the number 9. So it's not impossible that he could.
Yeah.
I mean, I think until Yengi is fully fit, he wouldn't risk Omani and Bishop in the same team, because obviously if one of them gets injured, you haven't got the cover off the bench to match them up. Answering my own question, I think Oshish will get the nod to play that number 10 role. And keep that front four, the Fab Four at the front to do all the pressing. So I'm looking forward to seeing him start on Saturday. So I think what we can go on to discuss next is have all of you been? I'd like you to answer individually, Reece, Simon, and then Tim. Have you been surprised by our resurgence, bearing in mind the struggle we had over Christmas, or do you think that because of the transfer work that we did in actually getting proven quality this time around, rather than really buying for the future, do you think that Richard Hughes has saved himself in January, Reece?
I'm not sure we can pick out an individual. I mean, I think we as a group on one of the earlier podcasts, I think we all had a bit around the table of, are we going to stay up or not? And I think, bar Jamie, I think everybody said we're going to stay up, and I don't think that's changed for me. Undoubtedly, this January transfer window has been a good transfer window. The frustration seems to have been the summer was we didn't quite gauge the championship. Maybe we were just reliant upon key players who got injured. I don't know, but it does seem like the summer transfer business wasn't good enough on quality. I think we've had a really good transfer window in January. So I think the club and the Eisners, I think that they knew what we needed. We all knew we needed more quality. We needed more strength in depth, and I think we've got that. So yeah, I'm kind of pleased where we are at the moment. I think we can absorb key injuries a little bit more. I mean, if we start having even more, that's going to start making things a bit more of a challenge. But the sooner you get to 47, 45, 50 points, the better for me. But no, overall, I'm pleased where we are. We've just got next few games, great opportunities to get some more points.
Simon, do you think we will be surprised at how much money we've stumped up this January window? Because I am pretty sure we've gone over budget again, which we did last January in order to secure promotion. Do you think there might be something hidden in the accounts for this year?
I'm sure that we've spent more than they planned to because of a number of injuries that we've had, especially long-term injuries. I mean, who have we got? Paddy Lane and Lang now, midfielders, both out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Farrell's out for the rest of the season. Yeah. So, and as I said before, our defence was decimated in the autumn, wasn't it? We just had nothing to choose from. So I think what we've managed to get back from injuries and what we've added to in the January window it's going to give us that solidity again. You're only one injury away from a crisis, and maybe the Lang one can be a crisis for us because he's contributed so much. You just set him off running and he never stops. And that much energy on the field, especially with our high pressing kind of tactics, that's a big miss. So yeah, let's hope that the new French guy, whose surname I dare not try and pronounce, can match that. He certainly looks skillful. He certainly looks like he's happy to run around. He's not a pack type player where he'll stand in the middle of the pitch and spray the ball around. He's quite happy to take people on and run with the ball at defenders. So maybe he will fill in, not replace, but certainly fill in for the miss of Lang.
Yeah, Tim. So I think who out of the loanees has impressed you so far the most, do you think? I mean, obviously Hayden's was the first one in, then Atkinson, and then obviously we got the 3 on deadline day. So obviously we haven't seen much of Cade Gordon yet, but who do you think has been like the best buy so far?
Well, I think the most useful one has been Atkinson. out of them. Like I say, at the start, I kind of, the guy hadn't played for something like 18 months to 2 years, had he, I think, before he came to us. So I probably watched his first appearance and expected a bit more. I don't know. But I think I just feel so comfortable with him in there now, really. It looked great with Shaughnessy there, didn't it? But unfortunately, he's injured. Matthews came in, and I think they look like they can be a good partnership there, really. And you think of what there is to come back into that defence as well. I think there's still a lot of potential to come there. Our whole season has been almost like a bit of a resurgence, hasn't it? Sort of, even going right back to the first couple of months, it's like the whole thing has been like working out who to play where, what the tactics are, how the best team is and everything. So, even though Schmid was signed back in the summer, I'd probably say he was one of the top signings that we've made as well. He's made some outstanding saves at time. I think he had a couple of moments at West Brom, I think it was, where he wasn't so good. But that's about the only time since he's been in.
Let's go on to so let's wrap up. So let's go on to the next two matches. So QPR Saturday home game. QPR really, they're not doing too bad, but their away form is pretty terrible, like most in the in the league. As you said in the last pod, Reece, most teams have not won more than 2 or 3 games away who are outside the top 6. So a very good opportunity to turn them over, but they are probably a little bit more dangerous than Cardiff at the moment. And then obviously we've got Luton away the Saturday after, who I don't know what's happening with them, to be honest. I mean, I know they got a draw on Tuesday night with Plymouth, but that was at home. So a good result for us in the end. If all three of you could give us your predictions for those 2 games, please. Reece, go first.
Yeah, well, I mean, Luton, they just can't win, can they? I mean, they're on their bottom of the league, and not one for ages. I mean, QPR a little bit 50-50. They've won 3 and lost 3 of their last 6 games. But I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I think QPR are a slightly dark horse. They got a lump up front. I can't remember his name, but they got some really good, skillful players behind them, and I think it could be a bit more of a challenge. But again, it's goals. You get goals in games, and the whole momentum just changes. So, I mean, optimistically, you've got to be thinking we should be looking at 6 points. But I think maybe 4, maybe with a draw at home to QPR and a win away at Luton.
Okay, thanks, Simon.
Yeah, I'd probably go down the same road as Reece. Just looking at the table, actually, QPR won 11, drawn 11, lost 11. So they are the personification of average.
What we wouldn't give to be average, Simon.
Well, yes. That 15 losses for us is not looking so good. Yeah, I think QPR have definitely... They're not the same team that we won at their place earlier on in the season. They've really turned themselves around and hauled themselves up to their average mid-table position. So I think maybe a draw would be a reasonable result at home for QPR. Luton, their fans will be saying what we say about home games against teams like this. It's like it's a must-win game for them.
It is a must-win for game.
Does it put more pressure on them? Does that let us off a little bit that, our away form's been terrible? Or does it put the pressure on us to say, look, Luton are crap, we should be smashing them home or away, doesn't matter. So, yeah, I think their form at the moment, they've won 7, drawn 7, lost 19. So if we're going to pick up 3 points from either of those 2 games, then I think it's probably the Luton game. So I'll go for an away win at Luton. And I'm turning up, so that would be very nice, thank you.
Well done. As long as your plane's not late. Tim, what do you think?
I think we're going to get 6 points out of these 2 games, make it 4
what
on the bounce.
Like to hear. That's what I like to
make
hear.
Make a thoroughly enjoyable trip to Luton for you both as well. I think it's going to be a much closer game against Luton, though. I've got a funny feeling we're going to just smash QPR on Saturday, something like 3 or 4-0. I think we're due one of those sort of games. There's going to be a new star maybe coming through, something like that. Either that or Bishop's going to bang them all in, and that'll keep some people quiet as well, which would be great. But yeah, and then I think probably a nice cagey affair away at Luton, win by 1 goal. That's the way I'm going to go for it.
Well, that's very positive. I like that. I'm far more nervous about both games, to be honest. I think it could be two points, which I don't mind really. I think QPR will be a very, very tough test on Saturday. I think that they're in form. Yes, they haven't really turned up away, but they have for this year beaten Hull and Plymouth away from home by the odd goal. So, like Millwall, I worry what will happen if we go 1 goal down. and whether they'll be able to then, shut us out and defend, because we had the same hopes against Millwall at home, who were in a poor run of form, and then unfortunately, we didn't turn up, and they had a good defence. So I think it will depend on who scores first on Saturday. Hopefully, it's us. And again, Luton away, a little bit nervous. We are, we're the favourites, which is ridiculous this season for an away match. I don't think we've been the favourites for an away match before, so the pressure will be all on us and not Luton. But they've got no form. That they don't look as if their manager changes has made any difference, like Plymouth. So I'm hoping for 4 points, but I think it will be 2. So thanks very much, guys. Before we wrap up, obviously we've got the quiz, and I think Tim's got one already. So who's got all? Has everyone got all 3 answers?
I think I've got all 3.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Tim.
Calm Sonic Dish, Nicholas Schmid.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
Which one have you got, Reece?
Is it Connor Shaughnessy, the top one?
Conger's Honey Rush. Yeah, that's Connor Shaughnessy. So it just leaves you to put it in the open goal there, Simon, with the third one.
Which I haven't got.
Oh, no, sorry about that. I should have done the other way around. Didn't leave a try. We've mentioned him a lot in this pod.
Devlin, isn't it?
Terry Devlin. Yeah, well done. I hope everyone got the 3 at home. I'm not going to make it as easy next time if I do. I'm going to do them from the 90s or something. So it's really, really difficult. Thanks very much, guys. Another great pod, and thank you again, Simon, for coming on and guesting. Hopefully, you're making another appearance before the end of the season.
I hope so.
Yep. So this has been the Play Up podcast. I've got a podcast scheduled with Neil Allen next week. I'm doing a My Pompey Life with Neil Allen. He recently achieved 1,000 Pompey games under his belt, which is quite astonishing. I expect he's seen more Pompey games. He's not even a Pompey fan, he's a Villa fan. More Pompey games than most Pompey fans in their lifetime. So I'm looking forward to discussing and talking to him about his experiences with Pompey over the years next Thursday. So that'll be out next Friday, but this pod will be out on Friday the 21st. So thank you, Reece. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Tim. We've been the Play Up podcast, and we'll see you next time.